Hello there, and welcome to another Starfield ship review video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the Starhawk, or in my case, the Starhawk 2. So the number that succeeds the name. I feel like that's the right word. It just is the tier of the vessel. The higher the number, the better the tier, so the better the stats. Aesthetically, this ship will be exactly the same, whether it's tier 1, 2, 3, or 4. But in it's just basic stats. So in this case, the Starhawk 2 has a reactor of 31 power, whereas a tier 1 might only have a reactor of 28 power, and a tier 3 could have a reactor of 35 power. So aesthetically, they'll all be the same. The only difference is the little kind of minor stats. This is actually a pretty interesting looking ship. This is the first time I've seen this ship. I did a review of the Spacer Vulture, I believe, and it was based on this ship. And I wasn't sure what it was based on because I hadn't seen it, but now we have the original. It's really, really cool. Even though it's like an amalgamation of a load of different kind of modules, it's very Hope techy with its just kind of with its setup. Like they get those cargo, which is really, really cool. Anyway, so we'll do a stats check. So stat wise, we've got 740 fuel, which is absolutely phenomenal. Like that amount of fuel will get you to wherever you need to go. It's got a hull of 1108, which for a B class is very respectable. For cargo capacity, it's got 28,010, which I'm wondering where the 10 comes from. I guarantee it's the Shroud Eklund cockpit. Like probably gives like 210. For the actual modules, we got a B class reactor with 31 power, which isn't too bad. Now we can obviously improve that. We'll show when we do the teardown how you can improve upon that. It's got a crew of 4, which again, not too bad. I want to say for B class, like that's 4 or 5 is probably where you get the most too. It's got a jump range of 15 light year, which is very low considering how much fuel this thing has. We definitely have to recommend upgrading that jump range as soon as you can. For shields, it's got a 930 shields, which again isn't very bad. The max shields for a B class, if you don't take into account Vanguard questline, is about 1200. If you do take into account the Vanguard questline, it is 1450. So if you've done the Vanguard questline, you should definitely put the shield on. And then for weapons, it has lasers, ballistics, and missiles. The lasers are mounted underneath the cockpit. The ballistics are 2 autocannons mounted in turret form. And then it's got a single missile pod there on the front. So this costs me almost 250k. Now your price may vary depending on the perks and depending on the tier of it. If it's a lower tier, you'll pay less. If it's a higher tier, you pay more. So I found this vessel here on Titan. Titan's a little gem. I only found it like towards the end of my first playthrough, and it has a lot of cool ships. This is kind of where you get the Nova Galactic stuff. So here we have New Homestead on Titan. Titan is one of Saturn's moons. It's in the Sol system. There's Mercury, there's Earth, Rip Earth, and then there's Big Red. And then obviously Sol is over here. There's Alpha Centauri. But yeah, so we're going to head to the usual spot and do the brief walkthrough. Alright, so here we are. So yeah, like it's like I said with the other review of the what's called the Vulture, I believe. It's a very interesting shape. It kind of has a very Hope Tech vibe, even though it has pieces from all the main manufacturers. I really like this kind of cargo section here around the back, like kind of the back to middle. It's like very, very cool. It feels like a hauler more than anything else, but it's got like a lot of kind of doodads and stuff on it. But anyway, we're gonna enter without trying to break my legs. Entryway in the back, which is always nice. It looks like a Tayo. No, a Deimos. We got Deimos entryway, which is nice. Very big and spacious. I was gonna hit the med kit, you always need it. Well, let's hop in. If I remember correctly, there's not a lot to this ship. Okay, so immediately we have a 2x1. Is this? Yes, this is a science lab. There's not a lot of science-y stuff here. Like you got a couple of bits and bobs here. Oh no, actually there is. Okay, so there's There's like the other ship I reviewed, it like had very little sciencey stuff, which is kind of interesting. Oh, Paramore. So you've got your pharmaceutical lab there, and you've got your research station there. And then if we come back this way, we have a 1x1 storage room with a ladder that goes up. We'll check that in a moment. And if we come back this way, we have another 1x1 storage room. And then we have a potentially an all-in-one berth. Potentially. So we got some beds. This is, I believe this is Shroud Eklund. It doesn't have the kind of the lived-in of Nova Galactic. And it's definitely not Hope Tech. And then if we come through here, we have a captain's quarters. Yes. Oh no, it's Deimos. It's Deimos. There's that really crappy Deimos bed. So we got Deimos here. Then we've got the navigation console. We got a toilet, which... Is there a toilet in here? Yeah, so you're sharing the pooper with the crew, which, I don't know, some people might not like that. And then we've got the very world's most uncomfortable bed. You'd probably be better off just like turning off the gravity drive and just sleeping like floating. You got a nice couch. I really like this couch. See, these little like couches and like stuff make me really want to like be able to actually design habitats. Like give us the ability to just smack down a just a blank habitat and just start placing stuff in it, like with the workshops or the outposts. And if we come over this way and that's the bridge there. We'll check the bridge in a minute. We take this door to the right. This is, I think, an infirmary. Yeah, this is an infirmary. We've got research lab, another pharmaceutical lab, and then we've got the 2 beds. Now, personally, I don't see the point of having both this and the other one on this sort of ship unless you're trying to roleplay as like a medic. So what I'd probably do is I'd swap this out for a workshop. Just because when you come in immediately, it's like workstations available. It's just handy to have. And then we go up a level. And this is just a 1x1 storage room that leads to the docking port. Okay. Not a lot going on this ship, but I think the lack of... I mean, it has a decent interior. It's not, I was going to say the lack of interior, but it's pretty nice. And then we go onto the bridge. Now, this is a very nice... Shroud Eklund did a very good job on this bridge. You got the pilot seat there. You've got a nice view. Got like a, what is that, like a 180-degree view. Got some windows up there. Then you've got your co-pilot seat to your left, your navigator to your right, and then you've 2 like weapons officers or just general officers here. So we're going to take it up into space and see how she performs. So if I remember correctly, it wasn't a bad ship. It was kind of a... Oh, that was not what I was supposed to do. I apologize. Let me get back in. Cockpit. Yeah, the B classes are kind of in a weird spot because they're usually not as... Hello? Who's in my... What was that? Sam, are you standing... Can I... Ooh. Let me see. Can I see? I can't see. I think Sam is standing. Anyway. The B class ships... I just pressed again. Oh my god. I am an idiot. I apologize. Like I was saying, the B-class ships are kind of in like a weird spot because A-classes generally like are more kind of nimble and like fightery, whereas C-class are more like larger scale. That's... I don't know if... I think Sam is standing directly behind me. But yeah, so like, it's weird. I always like see kind of, you know, like, if you're making a combat vessel, it's either going to be an A-class, a small little fighter, or a C-class, like a big frigate. B-classes kind of sit somewhere in the middle, which I suppose it makes more sense them having, like, you know, being more like general purpose vessels. So as always, I have a perk called Anatronic Power that increases my power by 5. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to be removing 5 power. So we'll do a weapons test. Laser weapons underneath. Not bad. Ballistic weapons are turreted. Single missile launcher on the top. Do a quick speed test. Looks like we're getting a 140, which is not bad. And then boost is pretty good, 520. Very nice. We'll do a quick agility test, so pitch up. Okay, this isn't... I'd say that's about average, like a 5 or a 6 when it comes to the agility. Yeah. Y'all seem slightly slower. It's more of a 5 than a 6, and then the roll. So it's got those, I believe they're, I want to say they're Relodyne engines, really cool engines. Also, fun fact with this ship, if you notice there, you've got the 4 big engines, and you've got those 2 little engines on the side. They're not engines, they're landing gear. For some reason, the Taio engines actually, or landing gear, have engines on them. They even, like, accelerate, which is very weird. Anyway, we're going to go back down to the plan now and do a teardown. Alright, so we have the ship teardown into 4 sections. It was kind of a bit awkward. So in the top section, the only habitat module we have is the 110 DP Docker from Deimos. And then behind the Docker, we have a 103DS mag inertial reactor from Dogstar. It's a B class, 31 power. There is better reactors. Let me show you real quick. I don't know if they're going to have this style of reactor. The fact that this is a tier 2 means that there is going to be a tier 3 version. So there's going to be, is that it? That might be it there. Okay, let me check. Yes, this is the 103. If you were to upgrade to the best one, the 104, you basically would get an extra 8 power, which I believe that's kind of like the best for B class. Let me double check. Yeah, the best is around 39. I want to say this might be the best reactor. I wouldn't mind I did a video like a couple of days ago, and I completely forgot what the best... I think it is 39, though, because 40 is reserved for C. So, yeah, so if you're going to swap it out, this one, if you buy the ship, it requires, like, you have to have piloting 3 and Starship Design 3, which you don't need... Well, you need piloting 2 to fly it, I believe. But if you want to upgrade this, you're going to need piloting 3 and Starship Design 4. And then it's going to cost you... It costs... Going to cost 46k, so like an extra 12k, which isn't bad. And more power is obviously better. And then next we have the Warden SG300 shield generator of Sextant Shield System. It's a B class, requires 8 power, and it gives us 930 shield. Now, I know that there is a better one of that style. If we go to... So we have the 400 here, which is sitting around, that's 1125 for B class. Now, you can obviously go the route of this bad boy. This bad boy here. No, not that one. Whoops. So this one you have to complete the introduction to the Vanguard quest line. So you got to do like the first 2 or 3 quests. And then you'd access this. I would recommend doing it because for B classes, this is the best shield in the game. And even in regards to some C classes, like the max for a C class is 1600. But it requires a lot of... It requires you to be a really high level and have a lot of perks. Whereas this requires no perks. It's pretty cheap. Yeah, so I'd go that one if you have done the Vanguard. If you haven't, and you just have the perks, you can obviously upgrade to a similar shield of this type. So it jumps up by an extra, like, almost 200. But it costs an extra 5k, which isn't bad. And then next, we have the NG210 Grav Drive from Nova Galactic. B class requires 10 power and gives 21 jump thrust, which in this current configuration is not very good. So we're definitely going to work on upgrading that. That would be kind of probably one of the first things I go for, because grav drives, you don't need to be very high level to upgrade them. They usually require like Starship Design 1 or 2. So if we go with the B class, we have this Relodyne one here. Let me see if we have... Nova Galactic ones are kind of a bit... That's the Nova Galactic one, isn't it? No, it's not. Okay. So I'd probably swap it out for this one, so let's just double check. So you put this bad boy on, you get 26 light years, which is a big improvement from the current 15. This one requires Starship Design 2, both B class. It uses the same power, but it gives you almost an extra... it gives you an extra 15 jump drive. And then it gives you... it costs an extra... it costs like 16k more, which is kind of pricey. Now, I was like 90% sure there's a better one. I want to say there's like, there may be one, it might not be here, but I thought there was one like that was 40. Obviously, you can into the C classes, you can get up to 50, but yeah. And then for the fuel, we have a pair of these Titan 550 Helium-3 tanks from Nautilus. They give 160 each. For the engines, we've got these Nova 1040 engines from Relodyne, B class, 3 power, 20,190 engine thrust, 4,200 maneuvering thrust. I really like these engines. These are like my favorite engines. which is kind of ironic because like they're made for Tayo ships, but I don't like Tayo ships. I find them a bit weird. Now, this is not the best version of these engines you can get. There's a 1050, I believe. Are they going to sell them? I just passed engines twice. Where's your 1050s? I know you've 1050s. Yeah, so they have they go up to 1050. And as you can see there, same amount of power. You get an extra almost 2,000 engine thrust, and an extra 300 maneuvering thrust. And they require Starship Design 4, and they're only an extra 4K. So like they're definitely an upgrade. Like currently we're getting 92 mobility in the current config, whereas if we slap on the new engines, it'll definitely go up to 100 and allow us to put a little bit more on it. And then for the aesthetic pieces, we have this Hope Tech thruster, which looks really cool. It kind of looks like a gun more to me than like a thruster. Looks like kind of like a rail gun. And then we have two of these little Hope Tech Noseby afts. And then if we go to the second part of the vessel, we have a shroud storeroom 1x1. We have more fuel, a pair of these 500T helium-3 tanks, 210 each, which is very nice. And then for the weaponry, we have a pair of these turreted KE-42 cannon turrets from Ballistic Solutions Incorporated, B-Class, 1800 range, 2.5 fire rate, 45 hull damage, and 4 power each. Now, they're kind of power heavy for me. I've said this a few times. When it comes to like weapons, usually turreted weapons, I would go ballistic turreted, or not ballistic, sorry, I would go particle turreted weapons because particle weapons do damage to both shields and hull. Now there's two you can go with. You have to go B-Class, but that's fine because, you know, this is a B-Class vessel. So this is going to be a bit silly, but if you're going for looks, I would probably go for this one here because it looks kind of nicer. It's B-Class, 4200 range, 2.5 fire rate, 29 damage to hull and shield, and 3 power requirement. Now there's a better one. This one here is, I believe, better. Let me do the maths. Yes, this is slightly better. Ever so slightly better. Less range, but it's like 2 more damage. So if you want like the max deeps, you go these ones. I think these look a little bit nicer. They kind of fit more with the aesthetic of this ship. Ship feels more rugged. So I'd recommend swapping them out. The end will kind of do a little bit of a more brief kind of upgrade path. And then we've got this CE-39 missile launcher from Ballistic Solutions, B-Class, 4800 range, 1 fire rate, 109.19 hull and shield damage, and 3 power. And then for the aesthetic pieces, we have a Hope Tech Cap A4, 3 Cap A mids, 2 Cap A starboard mid and a port mid, and a port 4 and a starboard 4. And then we have 2 of these Hope Tech Cap B mids. And then if we go to the belly of the beast, or the middle of the beast, we have this Viking CP100 cockpit from Shroud Eklund, 200 cargo, gives 4 crew station. Behind that we have the all-in-one berth 2x1B. To the left we have the infirmary 2x1. To the right we have the captain's quarters 2x1. We have a companionway 1x1. Science lab 2x1. And another companionway. Now I would swap this out for a workshop just because I feel like having the workshop off the entryway is really handy. And then if I want to see if let's just say if we swap this captain's quarters out for a control station, we could bump up it to 6. So that's something to think about. You could potentially swap out the infirmary or the captain's quarters. Just something to think about if you want extra crew. And then for engines, we have more of these engines here. These are... Oh, what... Why do they do this? I don't know why, but they're using 1040s on this, but they're using 1020s on the lower end. So these are weaker. So just to comparison. So these are B-Class, 3 power as well, but these give 1600 thrust and 3720. So you're losing out on 4k engine thrust and like 500 maneuvering thrust. I don't know like why. Like I can't tell if like these ships were like kind of procedurally generated or if they were like made by Bethesda. Because if they're handmade, why would they go down a tier? It just seems a bit odd. Anyway, and then we have the Stormax 60 cargo hold. These are the best cargo holds of this container style. They give 435 each. So that's for a 12 to 20, about 2600 altogether, which is really nice. And then we have a pair of these NG-15 landing gear, port and starboard. And then we have 2 Deimos braking engines. And then underneath we have the Torch P 250 megawatt pulse lasers from light sight, B class, 1500 range, 5 fire rate, 25 shield damage, and require 4 power. A bit power heavy for me, but again, I'm a bit of a cheapo. I like to kind of have as much power as possible, and I tend to go for the 3 power modules, but that's just me. And then we have the 120 LD landing bay from Deimos. And then for landing gear, we have, this is a lot of landing gear. So we have 2 of these pinpoint 3G landing gear. We've got a port and starboard. These are the ones that act as engines. They don't, which is weird, because they do, but they don't. Like, they don't actually add anything to the speed, but realistically they should, because they throttle up and down like the normal engines. Anyway, and then we have 2 more. We've got 2 of these starboard made and port made. And then we've got the port 4 and starboard 4. These are all the same, interestingly, so you can, like, swap between them. There's, like, a couple of different designs, which is kind of interesting. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we've got 8 shroud-made bracers. And then we have 1, 2, 3 AccuLander 11 landing gear, port and starboard. And then we have these Taio forward sensor. So now that the ship is there, we're going to put it back together, and I'm going to give you some recommendations on how I would modify it. So the first thing I do, like always, I'm going to remove the weapons, because I like to retrofit the weapons. I feel like the weapons that come on these ships generally are like, they're not bad, but they're not good. So we're going to remove the grav drive. Oh, whoops. We're going to remove the grav drive and replace the grav drive with a better grav drive, like I was saying. Grav drive, where are you? This one here. We're going to slot this one in here, right there. And then for the reactor, just so we can get a little bit more power. Where are you? This one here? Yeah, perfect. This is... That's not you. There you are. I'm going to swap this in here, like so. And then we're going to swap the shield from the SG-300 up to the SG-400. Obviously, if you have the Vanguard shield, I would recommend going up one more. Now, I would remove these engines and replace them with the N50 version, because it's nice to have better engines. This is one of those vessels where, like, I'd keep the engines as is just because I like them, but obviously, if we'll actually look real quick. If you did want to swap out for different engines, let's see what options we have. So we've got these big boys, the Hercules. Let's just compare them. So they give better thrust, better everything, basically, and they're a little bit more expensive. You could slap 4 of these bad boys on, like so. And they'd give you, you've got your 100 mobility. Although it looks a bit finicky, it kind of looks a bit weird. I think these ones suit better the 1050s. We're just going to slap them on. And then up here. And then 2 more on the other side, like so. Come on. Now, for the weaponry, so what I do is... So I have a bit of an interesting idea. I'm going to see if it'll work. It probably won't. So with these pieces, you can grab them and you can kind of like swap them into different pieces, obviously. But what we're going to do is, let me see if it'll let me do it. See, ideally what we're going to do is we're going to mount some turrets on this bad boy. And I like putting turrets in places where like it looks like they're kind of like designed as like weapon hard points. So we're going to get the, where is she? There we go. So you could obviously place them like so. You can place them there. And that's not necessarily like bad, but I'm going to try something a little different. So I'm going to grab one of these here. Let me just double check. Can I put a turret on top? I cannot. How dare you? Can I potentially... See, there's a phenomenal piece that Taio make that basically it operates similar. Yeah, it operates similar to a porthole, but it's not a porthole. It's like an equipment plate, and it allows you to snap onto things. So what I would do if we had them, so if this was an equipment thing, we would be able to say snap a weapon onto here, and I just feel like these look a little better for like the weapons. So what I would have done, if to get these, you basically have to go to Neon. Neon are kind of the only place that sell them. I'd put these like so. And then, let me just see here. Oh, actually I wouldn't put them like so because they stick out a little bit more than I'd like. We'll just go with my original idea, which was... Can you move forward? This is one of the problems with this game. It's like, this has very little snap points. Like, what I'd love to do is snap this like this. Like, put this here. Flip this. Put it, come on. Hello, snap. What is it doing? Ah, okay, cool. Now it wants to play it ball. Did I break this? No, there we go, okay. Ideally what I do is I do something like that, and then you have like the turrets in the middle, but you know, you can't do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to change these back to where they were. We'll flip them. Why do you not want to play ball? What is going on here? Okay, you know what? We're just gonna copy and paste here. And there we go, yeah. So, is that what it originally looked like? Let me just go back a few. Ah, that's what it looked like. Okay, cool, cool. So yeah, what I'd do is I would, let me put this back in here. Like so. So I'd add a turret to the front here, because it's nice having like a turret that kind of faces forward. And then for these two like side turrets, what you could do, potentially... Will this snap here if I put this here? There's a weapon hard point there? I didn't even see them weapon hard points. Interesting. These. Yeah, that actually looks kind of nice. It's got like decent articulation. It'll cover your side and it can look a bit backwards. I'd put another one over the other side here. It's just, the thing is, like, turrets are like, they're nice to have. Like, obviously if you like flying and shooting yourself, you know, you're just probably going to use 3 sets of like non-turreted weapons. But I kind of like turrets, especially for these bigger vessels, because it just makes kind of sense. It feels like, you know, this needs protection. And then for like because you want to be able to shoot too, I would go the usual route of getting some of these PB-30 weapons. And then you can go about this 2 ways. So you can mount 4 of these bad boys, or if you've done the Vanguard quest to get the thingy, you can mount 6 of these. Now 6 of them is completely overkill, and you will destroy anything. So I'd mount some here on the... Actually, I'm going to mount them up here, because I feel like it better kind of angling. So we... I don't know, what are you doing? And then we'll... There you go. One that side. And then one that side. And then if we equip the weapons, we have our electron beams, and then we have our neutron turrets. What's not connected? What have I not connected? Oh, I see what's not connected. Okay, this is slightly problematic. So this thing doesn't want to snap with the current reactor, which tends to be a problem sometimes. So we're just going to flip this around. We're going to put this in its place and snap this here. And there we go. Perfect. Now, I personally am not really a fan of this. I would probably remove it, because if you remove it, you get more access to like the front here. You can like add a little bit more, but obviously, you know, if you like this sort of thing. But yeah, that's it for the most part. There's the thing is with this sort of ship, there's not like a lot because you don't want to overhaul it too much because it kind of looks it looks cool to begin with. You've got some decent turret placements here. They can shoot forward a little bit and they can shoot backwards, almost entirely backwards. And then this one on the front here, it's handy because this one will tend to engage what's shooting at you. And then you've got these bad boys here. They're overkill. Like, if you want more of a challenge, I'd probably go the route of adding some like laser weapons and stuff. But yeah, that's it for the review. As always, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you guys have flown this vessel or its sister ship, the Vulture. And if you have you made any modifications to it, or have you just kind of kept it as stock as possible? And as always, subscribe if you... I think I just said as always twice, but apologies. But if you like this sort of content, don't forget to subscribe and also check out some of my other reviews. Bye-bye.